Let's talk about Aladdin. Hi-Rez is adjusting some of his abilities to lower both his skill floor and his skill ceiling, and I think this really reveals a fundamental problem with how Smite is approaching their character design, and I haven't seen anyone really talking about this, so I wanted to make a video about it. So, Hi-Rez makes Aladdin, who is a really iconic fictional character thanks to Disney, but they make him a high skill floor, high skill ceiling god. So a new player is going to download Smite, they'll see Aladdin, they'll think, oh, I really know that character, I love that character. They'll pick him, and they'll completely feed. And that's a pretty terrible new player experience. Someone's going to download Smite because they love Aladdin, they'll feed, and then they'll quit the game entirely. But my issue is that Hi-Rez shot themselves in the foot with this. Why would you make a super recognizable, marketing-friendly character so mechanically complex and mechanically deep? That's a design failure. But I don't think the solution is to gut this really cool, complex character. I think the solution was probably not to put complex mechanics on a Disney character in the first place. So let's talk about skill floors and skill ceilings really quick. So a skill floor is how well can a complete beginner perform with this character, and the ceiling is how much mastery is possible over this character. In my opinion, the best characters have a low floor but a high ceiling. Think of Raw. New players can spam their wave clear and spam heals, but pros will hit beam snipe combos that make the character look very different, and you can see that improvement over time as you practice the character. Aladdin had cool refire mechanics, animation cancels, and some advanced combos that made him a high floor, high ceiling character. And I think that's a good thing, just not on a character that is named Aladdin. But instead of just admitting, yeah, we probably shouldn't have made this Disney character super complex, they're just removing the complexity, and this is where I have issue. I don't think every single character in a game like Smite needs to be an easy to access character. I really think you need some characters that are hard to master, but once you get to that point, these characters look amazing. Let's look at League of Legends, for example. Azir is a character that gets banned constantly in pro play, but has something like a 42% win rate in ranked, and that's because he's a very high skill ceiling character. Bad players and new players are going to drag the win rate down, but the pros will ban him because they know his potential. And Smite doesn't really have characters like this anymore that have a high floor and a high ceiling. Let's think of Giannis, Unstable Vortex, or Susanoo's auto-canceling, or just removing Combat Blink from the game. And I can see the comments right now. Morrigan is a hard character, Ullr is a hard character. Morrigan is a knowledge check and not a skill check, which I think is its own category of skill. Nobody is sitting at home practicing Morrigan combos. You practice another character to learn how to play them as Morrigan. And Ullr can be considered a very Smite difficult character, but for the most part he's solved, where his ceiling is very close to his floor and his combos are very mapped and telegraphed. Frost put out a tweet about this, and I love it because he's saying, Smite has become a mechanically shallow but knowledge-burdening game. The skill isn't on the execution anymore, it's about the knowledge of matchups, builds, timers, rotations. Once you know what to do, I think executing it becomes the simpler part. I truly believe that a Smite beginner is closer in skill level to a Smite pro than an Emerald League of Legends player is to Faker. I think that's how shallow the mechanical ceiling has become in Smite 2. By removing complexity from every character, Smite becomes a really exhausting game for new players to learn, who have to memorize 130 plus god kits and then their interactions, but it also becomes boring for veterans who have nothing left to do and feel like they've plateaued mechanically. It's really the worst of both worlds. I'm not saying every single character needs to be Azir level or Aladdin level of difficulty, but you do need some characters that separate the good players from the great players. And I think the correct solution here is pretty simple. Don't put complex mechanics on a character like Aladdin. Put them on a character that nobody knows. Let Aladdin be a super easy character, but let someone obscure be the hard character. Instead, Smite is choosing to remove complexity everywhere, and I think this is really a cancer on the long-term health of the game. I don't know. This is just my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we can have a discussion about it. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next video.